We can. You're gonna edit this, right?
No, I'm not going to edit it. Who has time for that?
Well, that's your first mistake, Sean.
I'm new to this. Can you sing your podcast intro for me, please?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, come on.
I will.
Bioscope Brasse. That's our intro.
Exactly. And every time, whenever I listen, I'm like waiting. Is he going to say it this time? Is he? Yeah, he is going to say it. That's our intro. My name's Sean, and this is how we podcast. We're recording this in front of a live, I'm going to call it a live studio audience at Latitude Aparthotel. It's the first of hopefully many events like this that elevate the status of podcasters, and I'm thrilled to be starting this with local lads, Ross and Jody from Bioscope Brasse. I never know whether I'm supposed to use your surnames because your show just simply says in a title, Jody and Ross, that I never mention your last names.
For legal reasons, we don't want our surnames.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that you've said that because now I won't mention that there's Ross Solomons or Jody Felton because that's then would be
Solomon,
completely
so that's wrong.
Exactly. I did that on purpose. Legal reasons. But Jody, you can find on all sorts of platforms. You're a lot more difficult to find, Ross. I have tried to tag you in so many things leading up to this event.
Yeah.
There are just too many Ross Solomon.
Yeah, that's on purpose, though.
Okay. Did you create them all?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are all
Real
fake.
G's move in silence like lasagna. Okay, so I like to stay in the shadows.
Real G's move in silence. And this is really the essence of your show as we explore how you put Bioscope Brasse together. There is a lot of humor that runs through the thread of what it is that you guys do. But can we go, I don't want to go too far back to the beginning without going to the beginning, but I'm going to say it anyway. The artwork for your show is really cool. That VHS tape that you've got, whose idea was that?
Yeah. Or us.
Yeah. So I have a design background.
Okay.
And that has helped us in terms of like artwork and whatever visuals that need to be created. We kind of lucked out in terms of my skill set.
I have a very important approval role, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
It's usually just a thumbs up in the chat.
Is that what it is? It's a very lazy WhatsApp response, just a thumbs up.
That's the extent of it.
Okay, and now, Ross, you can answer this next question then because I'm basing what Jody has just said. My next question is, how involved is he in the production of the podcast then?
Look, Jody's very important. He talks to me on the show. No. So Jody does basically what he did with you was liaising with people. He does the admin side of things.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk to anyone.
Okay.
Contrary to what's happening.
I'm not a very social person per se.
Okay.
So Jody does all of that stuff. He handles the admin. He handles all of that. He handles planning in terms of news. We have like news segments on the show. So Jody will source news stories. And then I take it from there. Once we've recorded everything, that's where it's handed over to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm liking this. Now, Jody, what is Ross then responsible for? Because this gives you a chance to elevate his skills. So,
yeah. And I mean, people can see what Ross does. It's amazing. But I would say everything pre is me, everything post is Ross.
Okay. And that's a nice distinction.
The post sometimes happens during, like you coughing too much or move away from the mic, that type of thing as well. But like literally sound, visuals, all of that, that's Ross.
Now, but you do have a producer, which I can't not mention because I've worked in a producer role before and just been completely ignored.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen tonight. I need to sing the praises of your producer who is here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you like to say about Abby before I ask her to say things?
Maybe she should just shout from the background like she normally does on the podcast.
Because that is generally what happens in the show. You just hear Abby either sneeze, cough, or shout something from a distance.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
She's
invariably
usually on the couch in pajamas.
not too different from... Oh, no, those aren't pajamas. Skis.
So,
Skis.
we call her producer Abby because it's a joke. And she...
There we go.
I hear her.
She refuses to get mic'd up. I even considered hiding a mic like in the cushions.
Nice.
We've had like ones of people request.
Yeah, ones and ones.
Like on
Ones.
mic and
So we
just
call her
never
producer
happens.
Abby. It's nice to actually put the blame on someone else when things go wrong or whatever. I just say producer Abby. It's her
Yeah.
fault.
Now, I did have a very brief conversation with producer Abby before we stepped up here, which might have been a bit sly because I didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
But but she has told me that she is, I mean, it's a lot of her intellectual property because she is feeding you with information. Is that the role that she then kind of plays as pseudo producer? To kind of like finding things?
Well, there's that, and there's a timekeeping role, which if you hear the flow of conversation between Ross and I, is required. There's a lot of tangents that we go off on, and there's a lot of reminding that's required that you actually have a topic that you are discussing. So I'd say that's definitely the most productive part of a producer.
That's our most important job.
Okay. Well, I'm doing.
Yeah.
They don't always listen.
Well, I mean,
Content
women,
is
right?
king.
Who listens to women?
Whoa!
It's a joke.
And this, and then
She will kill me. It's fine. It's a joke.
she's got this. Don't worry, guys. We don't have to worry. He's taken care of already. Okay, but because we do have a live studio audience, and because we have now sung her praises, can I please ask that we give her a round of applause?
Yeah.
Because she's not on the microphone, and I think I worked as a.
I appreciate it because they never say.
They never say thank you. Yeah.
Shout out to everybody.
And all of the ones of people now that
Look,
really
we don't
need
want
to know.
to get too big, and then she leaves us for another show and stuff. So we just trying to keep you humble, love.
It'll happen. It'll happen. Watch out.
Too
People
much
know.
recognition means payment as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we kind of know how this podcast operates. All right, so let's move into some of the nitty gritty of this stuff, because I said to you guys before that based on previous conversations, I was under the assumption that you guys press record and just go, and then end record, and then maybe do a little bit of post-production like top and tail. Because you sing, we should have started this with that. You sing your intro.
We can.
Would you mind?
This, right?
No, I'm not going to edit it. Who has time for that?
Well, that's your first mistake.
I'm new to this. Can you sing your podcast intro for me, please?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, come on.
I will.
Go again.
Jody, you are.
Bioscope
Brasse. That's our intro.
Exactly. And every time, whenever I listen, I'm like waiting. Is he going to say it this time? Is he? Yeah, he is going to say it. That's our intro. And I love that. I love the. I mean, there's something for me about podcasting that's still kind of scrappy. Like we're making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be completely slickly produced every single time. There's something about that personality that then comes through if you're changing things up. That is pre-recorded, or do you do it every single time you record?
No, that's pretty cool.
Okay, good.
Because we can't.
There's no way
Hitting
we
that falsetto
replicate that.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough on
Yeah.
I mean, Jody's really good at it, but he's not consistent.
yeah.
Okay, then back to the production side of things. It is a long conversation. How often do you guys sit down and record for, and how long are those conversations generally?
So general process, we try and drop an episode weekly. To do one episode, we would record 2 episodes in one recording session.
Okay, smart.
That's the aim. But it usually ends up being, 2 to 2.5 hours? 3
Yeah,
hours?
approximately. It's like we try to keep it to like an hour an episode. Obviously,
Producer
the
Abby.
tangents, and producer Abby comes into play. But that getting to that process actually took a lot of trial and error. When Jody and I started, it was a lot of figuring out how we want to sound, what we want to say, how we want the show to be. We took on a lot of feedback from friends, peers, whatever, until we were ready to not take feedback anymore.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So you get to that point where you're like, I'm happy with the product that we have now, and that's what we're going to do. And then we focused on streamlining things after that. So we came with the idea of recording every fortnight, try and get 2 episodes out in one session. Sometimes the editing and so on, and to be
Life
consistent,
happens.
life happens. But yeah, for the most part, we are quite consistent.
And also, Sean, this is a sideline gig for both of us. So we both have full-time jobs. So trying to fit this in and amongst that and life is also a big factor as to when we record.
Yeah, hustle hard. You're gonna go to bed at 3 and wake up at 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Wayne.
sleep timetable.
Sleep yesterday. With regards to the point that you were making earlier with batch recording, I find a lot of podcasters don't want to do that. And did you find that through the process of doing and taking the advice of others, it was only at the point where we've taken enough advice, we're going to do the way that we want to do, that's when you started implementing batch recording? Or had you already known from the very beginning, life is just life, and we need to get as much done as we can when we have the opportunities to? When did that actually become like a realization? Like it's more important for us to get it down, and then we can live our lives for 2 weeks before we come back again?
I feel like pretty early.
Yeah,
Pretty
it was
early
kinda
in.
early.
Yeah. I mean, when we started, we had this idea of a structure for the episode. So the very first episode was recorded with that structure in mind. Then we let people listen to it and give us some feedback. We spoke amongst ourselves about how it felt to do it. Because there's a lot of factors that contribute to what we feel is a quality episode.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like our energy, the vibe. Does it sound interesting to us when we listen back to it? Do people find it interesting and engaging as well? So all of that kind of came together, and then how regularly we would need to record was part of that whole process as well. Once we knew, okay, this is how much an episode should comprise of, we could figure out how regularly to get together.
Okay.
And chemistry as well, so that
Yeah.
the chemistry only got stronger over time. And then once we felt that the chemistry was there, your planning, everything just becomes way easier, because you can, when one of us is slacking, no one will notice, basically.
Yeah.
And the rough and tumble style of the show kind of works in our favor. If Jody doesn't do research, it becomes a joke.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, back again to the production, because when I listen to the show, it really does sound like you've pressed record and then you've inserted some audio jingles, which for me are like, okay, well, those come stock standard on a road. Like they're there. So my mind was very much like, you're having a conversation, you've done an insert jingle, and then you move into the next thing. But you're actually telling me that there's a fair amount of production that goes in.
Yeah. So
I'm hard work as a recording partner. There's a lot of weird sounds and burps and coughing.
Not only that, conversation is, you want to keep it as natural as possible, and sometimes you repeat yourself. There's things you refer back to and all that. So if I break it down, say to get an hour episode out, it takes about 3 hours of editing. Where it's the ahs.
Yep.
I don't cut all of them out because you want it to sound natural.
Yep.
So I don't cut all of them out. The coughing.
Like that.
Just
Look.
go to a doctor, man.
Chronic.
And listen to
The banging on the table.
There was an episode where he sneezed or blew his nose, and you kept that all
No,
in.
look,
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there's-
kept that in.
there
For
are-
comedic effect quite often. But
There are
The
also points
hanky
where
and
I
the whole
can't.
description too. Like, I was
there's
like,
nothing I can do. There's,
Interesting
there's
choice.
times where I can't.
I've broken him down over time.
Yeah, he
10,
has
20
whittled
coughs
me
an
down.
episode.
It's a kidnap situation.
Okay.
So, it takes a lot of time. And then the thing that I focus on the most is the flow.
okay.
The flow of information.
Yep.
And the flow of the conversation. If you cut out a section, for instance, you have to go back to the previous. I know it sounds simple, but it can be quite difficult. Going back to the previous sentence or the last thing that was said and make it flow into the next sentence or whatever.
Yeah.
That takes quite a lot of time, and I'm anal about that.
Okay.
Stuff. It gets to me. That's why I sit there and I spend 3 to 4 hours editing an episode.
Yeah. My
So
man.
if we don't have an episode out, it's no, because I gave up.
Yeah.
No, it gets hectic sometimes, but that's the kind of show that we want. And I want it to be at a certain time, a certain length.
Yep.
And I want it to flow a certain way. And the greatest compliment that people have given is that it sounds like we just press record.
like what you're saying
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Which
But
is
also-
amazing, yeah.
But I think it's also that we've almost earned the right to get to that point
Yep.
by working at it constantly and putting in all the background work to actually, it sounds that way to people.
Yeah.
Without people really knowing. I think you look at like a Joe Rogan or Impulsive, those things that have got video and looks like it's just nonstop. And people think, oh, if we just talk, it's interesting. And yeah, there are people that are like that. But for us, we work better when we've put effort in. And put effort into recording, put effort into getting ready for the episode, and with the post-production.
Well, I mean, and it shows. I mean, you don't just show up on Apple Podcasts, shows we love list at the end of 2023 without putting effort in, right? Like there needs to be the preparation, the
You have to
production
buy
that
your
goes
way
in.
in, yeah.
You have to buy your way in, exactly. Lots of greens.
Pay the
That
right
took all the
people.
money I had.
Find the right contacts, network hard. Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you're mentioning the work that goes in, because as you quite rightly said, I'm glad you take it as a compliment when somebody tells you it sounds like a conversation, just two friends hanging out. Because that is really what it feels like. It feels like I'm just hanging out with two guys that are discussing movies and I'm learning stuff. Your movie knowledge, however, is also like on another level. Like I struggle to keep up with all of the actors that you mentioned and the producers and the directors and then this choice that was made and that decision. And so it was, I'm assuming it's a major passion, because this is another thing podcasters are not sure about. Like, what do I talk about? What if I run out of things to say?
Yeah.
And your answer to that would be choose something you're passionate about?
100%.
Very much. I mean, the two of us, when we became friends, movies was one of the things that kind of bound us together as friends. And,
Bound us together.
you know,
Sounds like an origin story.
sounds like a hymn.
Bound together by movies.
Can't get rid of him now. But you definitely have to be recording about what you're passionate about. I applaud people who can record on like, so how you doing today, and take it from there, because I mean, yeah, it's conversation and it can be interesting, but for us it's nice to have the fallback. So having that fallback gives you leeway to go off on tangents and, you know, break away from your main topic every now and again, but there's that comfort of there's this thing we know.
In that same breath, though, we don't pretend to be experts on anything, and I mean, our show is very loosey goosey. We if we get something wrong, it's fine. We don't pretend to be experts. We movie buffs. We enjoy movies. We know certain things. If we don't know certain things, that's also okay. But we'd like to know. We'd like to think that people can listen to us and, like you said, learn something about cinematography, about whatever, and hear it from us, from our personal perspectives.
And on that note, you've jumped in with episodes before where you've done an edit, and then you've had producer Ross here, and then like either correct something or refer to or put into context, and then move on, which is another clever way of being able to summarize a part of an episode that didn't quite flow the way that you wanted to do, right? So if you, as you say, whether it's lots of repetition or whether it's getting a fact incorrect or missing up a name, to insert something, there's nothing wrong with doing that,
There's
right?
nothing
and
wrong
also
with doing
shorten the episode a little bit if you need to buy some time, like a quick retake
My
is a good way to
least
go.
favorite thing is if we get a name wrong, right? And we're recording like 30 minutes in. So we got the name wrong 10 minutes in. 20 minutes later, oh, it was actually this person. So I have to go back and find that clip and try and make it work in that clip so that I don't have to do like that is the most frustrating thing. But again, I still love it though.
Yeah. No, I can tell.
Because I like the nitty gritty. Like I'm a technical person by nature, so figuring things out. So I started on Audacity, which is a horrible looking app. It's very powerful though, and it's free. I do suggest if you want to edit stuff, so Audacity is a good place to start. I now use Adobe Audition, which is a bit more cooler.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk later.
You're moving up in the world. Yeah.
No, I use Adobe Audition now, which is a lot more fun for me. But that, again, it's just figuring out those tools, figuring out how to edit and stuff, and take time with it. Like we took a long time before we released our first episode, and even after that first episode, I think we were like 30 episodes in maybe before we were truly happy.
Sure.
Yeah. So keep tweaking.
Where are we now? Just under 100?
82, 83.
I think I lost track. Jody's supposed to keep track of this.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Come on,
about
like
82.
pre-production, dude. Just come on. You're supposed to do this stuff ahead of
80-ish.
time.
80-ish. Official number. 80-ish, yeah.
You mentioned Audacity now. What other tech stuff do you use? And the question many of us get asked is like, what do I start with? Like, what equipment do I need? How do I get going? Like,
We started with like a 5-pine condenser, USB in a...
Well, the very first, which will never be released episode,
Yeah.
was over Zoom during lockdown, and Ross and I talking through like an episode that we thought would be a good episode.
The Zoom thing.
So hour and a half of pure torture if you go back to it now.
the whole time. God, it's the worst.
Yeah.
I hated it so much. And then did we release that other one?
The second
In the
one.
box?
Yeah.
Yeah, I built like this foam box and put the mic inside there to try and get rid of the...
One USB mic
Yeah.
in the phone box. And
You both spoke into the same microphone.
it was
Wow.
very intimate.
and Ross
Jody
still
and I were
applied the
next to it,
same
like our heads
editing
were right here,
techniques.
and it's just, yes, Jody. We
So
had to chew
intimate.
gum before just so we don't offend each other. It was-
My wife asked me who I was with all the time. It smelled like
You
Ross
smell
when I
like
got
somebody
home.
else's cologne.
yeah, that's where we started, and then we got another thing that worked in our favor was reaching out. Once we were kind of happy-ish with the product, Jody started reaching out to people, and we got hold of Sami Arif, who's known in the industry, and we had a meeting with him, and he was like, "Cool, whatever, you guys, I'll really dig your show," because we gave it a listen, and he sent us this. What was that thing?
A Zoom recorder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but this thing has
The portable ones.
Yeah, okay.
this thing has been through
life.
Yeah.
When you
Ukraine,
received it.
Sarajevo,
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
the word. Like
Okay.
there was tape covering the batteries and stuff. Love it though. It has a
We
special place in my
never
heart.
quite knew if we still had space on the memory card to record, so we'd like operate on faith
Yeah.
sometimes.
So then our sound quality jumped up exponentially just with that little bad boy. And now we're fortunate enough to have been given a Rodecaster Pro.
Okay.
Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah.
I always get the name wrong.
Yeah.
So now it's a way more easier. It's just like, I feel like we leveled up in like you play video games.
Yeah.
So it's like we leveled up. You get experience, and now
exactly.
we have a.
And
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think when most people start their podcasting journey, they're like, "What do I need?" But we're often looking at again the Joe Rogans of the world or the really big podcasts, and you go, "They've got a Shure SM7B. I suppose I should get that." And you go, "Hang on a second.
Yeah.
It's a
Can't get
little
that.
bit. Don't go there just yet. Figure out what you're doing first. It's training wheels, and then slowly take them off.
200 rand.
Yeah, 200 Rand. And I mean, in addition to all of that, Sean, it's constantly for us listening to and thinking about where we need to improve. The sound thing we didn't even really know was a problem until we heard how good it could be. And then we were like, wow, we were really like pushing our luck to try and keep going at that level that we were at.
And if I understand correctly, it's relatively makeshift too, right? You guys get together, set up the equipment, and then tear it down again for a week or two?
Ross does all the setup.
I set up the equipment.
Okay, sorry.
I put up everything.
I pitch up with the research.
Let me rephrase.
I make coffee.
Hard research and croissants.
I have
normally.
croissants. Jody
Yeah.
brings croissants and pastries. I make coffee. I set up the equipment. Yeah, Abby wakes up, lies on the couch.
No, okay. Abby does tell Ross everything that he's done wrong. So it's the camera's not quite where it should be. Why do you look like that?
Yeah,
you
she
frame
frames us up, girl.
beautifully.
Now that you've mentioned the camera, how important has video been for you?
I'm so tired of video.
Wonderful to hear you say things like this.
I am. Look.
And you're being honest, Ross.
I am being honest.
Okay.
But it is a necessary evil, I feel, in today's space. I hate it so much though.
For the longest time, we weren't going to do video at all. We weren't going to show our faces. It was just going to be an audio podcast. Our names would be on it, and
Just Jody and Ross, though,
Yeah.
for
just that.
legal reasons.
And
Yes,
we-
of course.
people are after us, and we would have just left it at that. And then we kind of felt like we were missing out with the video. But I mean, you've heard Ross talk about how much of a perfectionist he is. So we won't really drop full video until it's at the level that Ross is.
Yeah,
happy
which
with.
is frustrating. Because I was recording another show. I'm sorry, Jody, I'm cheating on you.
Fine. I'm not bothered.
I'm cheating on you with another show. I was recording something else, and we had set up the camera and everything, and I was so excited by the camera. And we had gone on for 40 minutes, and I realized I didn't press record on the audio.
Yikes. It's an audio first project, and you started the camera.
So then I set the house on fire and then regrouped. And then we just had to do it again. It was, I wanted to kick myself in the face.
Yeah.
But again, if I didn't have to worry about that, it would be so much easier. I really love the audio aspect of it, and I really wish that we could grow it without video, but I don't think it's possible, especially on social media. Even if it's bite-sized clips, we like to keep things to like a minute, just to give people a teaser of what we're talking about, so they'll be curious enough to go through. And it's necessary. It's just like, it takes a lot of time, especially if you have one person doing the production.
Everything, right?
But,
It's like
then to your point, Ron, or to answer your question, the video to us is more of a gateway to our audio as opposed to being the main thing.
Right.
As it currently stands.
Yeah. And that's how I see it. It's like you said, the necessary evil. You're also hoping, because we're putting extra workflow in here, or putting an extra task into our workflow by producing something for social media, hoping that when somebody sees it on socials, they are going to go and listen to the full episode.
Yeah.
We can never never really tell whether we've converted a social media
You're not
follower.
a fan of video yourself.
I'm in the same place as you are. I feel like it's a bit of a necessary evil. There needs to be something. You'll notice when I release my podcast, I might do one video and that's it. Because I can't.
dream.
And my goal is to get people to subscribe to the audio, and then I don't have to tell you that it's there because you get it and you're expecting it and you know that it's there.
We don't get to the video, and then Jody. Well, I'll ask Jody to record something based on what I want to say, or I will be in my gown, but it goes with like the personality of the show.
Yeah.
Too many people have seen you in your gown.
That gown is. And it's the same gown that. Katlego, no, who's the guy? Yeah, Katlego was caught cheating in.
The same one?
The same one. It's not the actual gown. I'm just saying.
I mean, you know people. I just wanted to
version.
clarify.
It's the Woolworths navy blue soft touch.
Nice.
Yeah, so I
nice,
felt like, I mean, you won't catch me cheating in, is what I'm saying, but still. So it's like that. I'd rather actually just put up something like that where I announce something we did, make a funny little clip, as opposed to actually recording the show and cutting that together. But you can't ignore the engagement when it comes to that. Yeah.
There was a video in you mentioning, I think it was around the Apple Podcast shows we love. I think it was that one that you guys did where you were recording in cars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that was really well put together. That makes me want to listen to your show.
Yeah.
And then I think getting the balance right is to figure out how do we get people over to listen? Does it have to be taken directly from the recording? Can we not do something that promotes the recording that sends you there? And getting that balance right. Again, if we're all leading busy lives and we're running businesses or busy with children, you can't necessarily add another thing. But I think maybe over time you start to realize what that thing is, what it is that connects the video back to your audio project.
Yeah.
And hopefully you start leaning into that.
Video is another aspect. Jody, I ask him to record something and then he sends me, obviously I get the final video that he sends me, but then when I see him again, he'll show me on his phone and all
the drafts,
the versions. There's like 50 versions that he went through trying to get it right. And I'm like,
did
Jody,
not think I'm a perfectionist. And then Ross is like, make a video of you, like, just say hi. This is what you can find. This is what you need to do. 60 videos later, it's like, I think this one works.
This one could be it.
Yeah, so we prefer audio way more.
It was a question that actually came through from, let me just get here, Jason, who's sitting in the corner there. I don't know if you want to ask the question or shall I ask it? Shall I ask it for you? Okay. Jason wanted to know, what is your vision for your podcast?
What is there? Do you have? What?
I was rephrasing it, but
Jason, don't let him represent you like that.
Maybe
he should have. See, I wanted to give them the option. The question is, what is your vision for podcast? So that's why I was paraphrasing. I was trying to make it a little bit more. What is your vision for your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Now you have the question.
You want to tell them what our initial goal was?
Free movie tickets.
What's it?
Yeah,
pretty
that was
much.
It. we wanted to go to the movies for free.
We wanted to get to the movies for free.
And how can we do that? Yeah, exactly.
We've achieved that goal.
How many times over?
We went quite a few times in the last year.
Yeah.
Not the best movie.
Not always the best films, but the more important part is the free
movies.
tickets.
You can't always do what you want. But again, Jody and I are full of integrity and we don't lie. If we don't like something, we don't lie.
Yeah. Which doesn't make us the best people to go out and promote your movie. If the movie's not good, we're quite honest. But that was the initial aim. It was, if we could get free movie tickets, that would be pretty cool. Because I don't know if anyone's been to the IMAX lately, but I took my wife there on Friday and it was about 600 Rand with snacks for the two of us. So movie tickets are...
I paid 500 now with Discovery, 500 and odd for Prestige now. You better be. Appreciate that.
Yo.
The lean back seats.
And back in the day when movie tickets were, now we're giving our ages away, but they weren't that expensive. I can see now
in Athlone it was 8 Rand for a double feature, bruh. 8 Rand for a double feature, 2 movies, 4 hours of entertainment with the 8 Rand. You could still go buy a Gatsby and take it into the theater because this is Kismet in Athlone. I love that place. And no age restriction. Nobody cared also. 2 to 18, that didn't matter. That's a throwback. But nowadays...
No, you can't. And that's why I say that value exchange now is a lot better, right? Like you're actually getting in. It's nearly a...
But I don't feel we answered this question.
Well, I guess long term, it's really just to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I love recording with Ross. Like us hanging out is fun. And doing the podcast is fun. So growing it organically, and I don't think we've put a cap on it for where we hope it would go. We do think it's a great show. So we hope that the show gets the recognition that it deserves and to keep doing what we're doing. There's that. No pressure.
See, producer Abby has a vision for you guys, just by the way.
Apparently, we don't stop working.
Yeah.
She does.
I'm the one that's supposed to be stop working. You have to support me.
And you've also had guests on your show. I know, Cassidy, you took her to the movies, or you met up for the movies.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the premise, that you then have a guest on that they've been to something and experienced something with you? Or is it...
That's
It is
part
now.
of the vibe. It really helps in terms of the show, especially when Jody likes to talk in the cinema. First of all,
Jody?
with that information, what you will.
With useful information.
Jody likes to talk in the cinema.
Okay.
I do not like to talk in the cinema, but he pulls me in with these flippant jokes. So when a person is sitting next to us and experiencing the movie with us, and then going to record and even being able to comment on the price of the popcorn or what their order was or whatever, it all builds into the show, and it just adds another level, and people start to think, wow, they really are friends.
Yeah.
But we're not friends.
Meanwhile,
we've never seen Cassidy again.
But that's evolved over time, because if you look at the older guest episodes, it wasn't linked to movies at all.
Yeah.
So the older guest episodes were us, we called it lumming with the Brasse, so it was just like chilling with a person and trying to get it to movies at some point, but not always managing that. So it really just became almost like a more talk show, kind of like Gen Z, actually, what they do then. And we are terrible at it. So we needed to try and get on brand for one thing. But something that we also realized just listening to the episodes is that it's our podcast. So it needs to sound like our podcast, no matter who joins us for the show.
Like shows that rely on guests, I already have so much respect for that, because you never know what the chemistry is going to be like. You never know if they're going to pick up what you're putting down. It's so risky, and I am not the most straight-laced of people. Our previous episodes are all X-rated in terms of like language. It's very colorful.
We've done really well tonight by not swearing.
Yeah,
You've done
really
so far
well.
so good. I'm watching the time. I think it's nearly time to wrap up anyway.
We kind of like neutered it a little bit. We put beeps in, but it doesn't mess with the show, because you know what we're saying. Trying to keep the essence.
And I think that's also a very important point when I speak to podcasters that are looking to develop something. I say, spend as much time as you can thinking about it and developing what your concept is, because that's the thing that you're going to be tying yourself to for as long. It can change. I've done it to myself. I've developed things as I go. But if you've got a really strong concept and you can stay true to that, as you say, it's your chemistry. It still needs to sound like your show, regardless of who joins you. The people are tuning in for that concept, that essence, that little thing that makes your show what it is.
But even record like joke episodes, like record something. Put it down, record it, listen to it, give it to someone you trust, who's not going to break you down and destroy your
dreams,
your passion,
your vision.
But record it, listen back to it, figure out, tweak all the time.
But also be honest. Like, you need people who are honest with you and say, like, either your energy started dipping, or the flow wasn't great, or it wasn't really interesting for the whole hour or 30 minutes.
And be honest with yourself. If you trash, just give up.
We've had
facts.
We've had really tough conversations with each other about things that we do on episodes, or like the number of times Ross has told me things that I need to work on just with like sounds I make, or things that are compromising the audio ultimately.
I know it sounds stupid when he says it like that, but it's important.
But it's important because it's like work for him for one, but it also does mess with the flow of things. And you've got to be honest. Like in our case, there are two of us. And if we don't communicate and actually share what's frustrating us, or if like the thing's not working, the show gets compromised at the end of the day. And I think we've been good about keeping the show at the forefront.
Yep.
It's whether it's slightly hurting each other's feelings or working on something, the show needs to work as best it can.
I mean, you're Brasse, right? Like that's in the title. You need to be able to relate off one another all the time and rely on one another all the time. Before we get into, because Francois is standing by to give us a presentation on data and analytics and monetization, which is there's a lot of talk around monetization at the moment, especially the podcast space. Some people are looking at podcasts going, I can make a quick buck here, right?
No.
Where are your heads at with regards to monetizing the show? And I don't just mean advertising, I mean like the broader scope of the show. Is it something you're looking at? How far have you taken that?
It's definitely something we're looking at. Anyone in the crowd? No.
Looking at
Not
you.
just looking at, but looking at
Our
everyone
focus has
here
always
in
been the
case.
show first.
Sure.
We want to be proud of the show. We want to focus on the show. And I feel like it might sound cheesy, but if you have something good and you have something that you're working really hard at, there are opportunities. And we have had opportunities in the past. There's things we had some money come in. It's not a lot, but enough for like a sucker or beer.
The croissants next weekend.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities, but we focus on the show first, 100% the show first, and I feel like those things will eventually come.
Yeah.
It sounds like an organic approach. Things need to happen as
also
they happen.
we're very lazy. I mean, I'm not one to go, door to door salesman type vibes. Abby's supposed to be doing that, but she's
Pseudo producer. She's filming you now.
Yeah,
But Ross, we've tried even that type of cold calling, asking people if they'd be interested. And I think in that type of way, podcasting perhaps in Cape Town more than Joburg is still emerging as something that people view as viable to attach money to.
everybody wants influencers.
Yeah, influencers come with a different type of built-in audience, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep.
I mean, for us, it's, as Ross said, we can control what we can control, which is the quality of our show. If it eventually gets picked up, then hopefully we've got a bunch of quality episodes that
Precisely.
people can...
Yeah. So the one number that I'm really proud of is the 96% retention
Complete, yeah,
rate,
listener
That's
completion
excellent.
rate for our episodes. So that means basically people are listening. The only thing we're not listening to is people are saying goodbye. Basically.
Basically. When they tell the episode's ending, they're like, okay, I know how this is going to go. Yeah.
Also
best
more
part of the
women
show.
than men,
Yeah.
which I'm also proud of.
Yeah, I like seeing that stat too. I also like
It's
seeing
our
that stat.
strong beta energy. So
Yeah, we give off big fighter energy.
Guys, this has been really, really cool. Thank you very much for sharing the ins and outs and the behind the scenes of how you put Bioscope Brasse together. I wish you so much more going forward. I also want that contact of yours from Apple Podcasts, please, because Shows We Love 2024 is coming up and I'd like to get my...
nice.
Oh yeah, good luck.
yeah.
Hope you got the money for it. No, but about that quickly is that we were, it was kind of kismet, but also like they liked the show, and the representative was a fan of the show, and we had also tied with Simi, who already with POC podcast
Yep,
back in the
yep,
day
yep.
had a relationship with Apple.
Yep.
So it was also kind of
Yeah.
kismet.
And I think maybe even events like this, but we forget often when we're podcasting, you do it so much in isolation, you don't get a chance to speak with other people or find other ways of doing things out unless you step out and you start to meet and network and mingle and so forth. So all the best. We continue to watch you go stronger and stronger.
Listen to us.
I promised to listen before I watch.
Thank you.
But if people are looking for you, I'm assuming you're across various platforms. Do you want to plug that?
Jody, if someone wanted to find us, how could they do that?
Yeah, those 4% that people keep switching off for. They can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Bioscope Brasse Podcast, or the thing we have not gotten once yet, you can email us, bioscopebrasse@gmail.com.
And I need the intro at the outro, please. Can you please sing for me one more time?
Okay. Bioscope Brasse. That's our outro.
Yes, man! Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and discover the magic behind the mic, because this is how we podcast. A companion podcast for the Podcast Catalyst newsletter. Find us online at www.seanlewitz.com.